I didn't expect to feel anything when we pulled into the first town, just another fading place on the map, quiet stretch of crumbling concrete and shuttered windows, but something shifted in me, not suddenly. Slowly. Like fog lifting, because buried beneath the chipped paint and broken glass was memory. And beauty, and a kind of honesty you don't find in cities anymore. This is a journey through Russia's forgotten towns. Where time has stopped, but stories haven't. Most people don't go to these places, not on purpose. Russia is known for its power, its size, its politics, but this isn't about that. This is about the spaces in between, the towns left behind after factories shut down, after railroads stopped running, after young people moved to Moscow and never came back. They are not tourist destinations, they don't show up in glossy brochures, but they matter, because in these forgotten towns, you don't just see decay, you see who we used to be, and sometimes, who we still are. I first heard about Yuryevets from an old man on a train heading northeast out of Moscow. He said, "You want to know the real Russia? Go where even the taxis don't." So I did. Yuryevet sits on the Volga River, once a lively trade route, now it feels like the river kept flowing, and the people didn't. The train dropped me miles away. I hitched a ride with a bread delivery truck, windows fogged, radio playing Soviet-era ballads. The town was quiet. Like the world had pressed pause. The main street was lined with rotting wooden houses, some leaning into each other like old friends. There were birch trees growing from the roof of an abandoned cinema. A faded poster still clung to the entrance. I met Mila, a retired school teacher, sitting on a cracked bench in the snow. "Why do you stay here?" I asked. She shrugged. "Where else would I grow old? My husband is buried here. My children were born here. Even the wind knows my name." There was something devastatingly beautiful in that. The kind of permanence only forgotten places still offer. The moment you enter Karabash, you feel it in your lungs. This small town in the Chelyabinsk region was once a booming center for copper smelting. Today, it's often called one of the most polluted towns in the world. Black snow, trees without leaves. A river the color of rust. I met Andrei, a former factory worker, now in his 60s. He stood near the skeleton of a smelting tower, smoking a hand-rolled cigarette. "We gave everything to the factory," he said. "Our health, our air, our children's futures." And yet, he wasn't bitter. He looked out across the ruined hills and said, "We built this country. They may forget us, but we remember." The landscape was brutal, charcoal hills, no birdsong, but there was a strange beauty in it, raw, honest, unfiltered, not the beauty of postcards, but of endurance. Not every forgotten town is broken, some fade quietly, but with grace. Plyos, on the banks of the Volga, is one of them. In the late 1800s, artists came here for inspiration. Isaac Levitan painted its gentle hills and river bends, calling it the soul of Russia. But modernity skipped it. No malls, no highways, no rush. I arrived in spring. The snow was melting into muddy paths. A woman in a floral apron handed me a cup of homemade kvass from her porch. I asked her how long she'd lived here. "All my life," she said. "And hopefully all my death, too." There was laughter in this town. A kind of soft resistance. They may be small, but they've chosen slowness on purpose, and in a world addicted to speed, that felt revolutionary. Kadikan isn't just forgotten. It's abandoned. A ghost town in Russia's far east, once built to mine coal, now left to the snow and silence. I got there with the help of a local photographer named Dima, who documents vanishing Soviet towns. We drove for hours, past forests and frozen rivers, until buildings emerged, silent, broken, swallowed by time. No people, no power, just rows of grey apartment blocks, stripped bare. Wind howled through shattered windows. Graffiti on a kindergarten wall read, "We lived here." We found a diary in one of the apartments. 1996. A teenage girl writing about boys, school, dreams. Her world ended when the mines shut down after a deadly explosion. The government told everyone to leave, and they did. It was haunting, because this wasn't centuries ago. It was just one lifetime away. Decay sits on the Arctic coast, above the 70th parallel, where the days can be 24 hours of sunlight, or darkness. Once a bustling Soviet military and research outpost, now it's half empty, battered by wind and time, but it's still alive, barely. I went in winter, when temperatures dropped to -40 degrees C. The air sliced through my coat like paper, but children still played in the snow, and in a community hall, A group of teenagers rehearsed traditional Yakut dances, their breath fogging the cold room. I asked Sasha, 17, what it was like growing up here. She smiled. Hard. But beautiful. You learn to hold tight to what matters. Family. Fire. Music. And suddenly I understood, decay doesn't mean death. Not here. It means remembering how to live small, but full. I came to these towns expecting sadness, and yes, there's sadness. But what I didn't expect was how alive they still felt, not in the way cities pulse with traffic and noise, but in the way memory lingers in a child's drawing on a peeling wall. In a woman sweeping snow off her doorstep, even if no one visits. The truth is, beauty doesn't disappear. It just gets quieter, and sometimes, if you slow down enough, you can hear it again. Driving away from Decay, I watched the landscape blur into white. A part of me stayed behind, in the corners of those towns that taught me how to see differently. Not everything that fades is lost, not every ruin is empty. These forgotten towns, they remind us that time doesn't erase value. It just buries it. Waiting for someone curious enough to come looking. I used to chase stories in the bright lights of cities, but the ones that changed me were hidden in the snow, the silence, and the stillness of places most maps no longer name. If stories like this speak to something inside you, if you believe forgotten places still have something to say, stick around. There's more we haven't heard yet.